My name's Shelley Rays. I'm an Aboriginal woman from the Djirrabal people in northern Queensland. I'm also the Deputy Chairman for the National Australia Day Council, and I think Australia Day is a really important day in the national calendar.
My name's Amy Macquarie and I'm from the Djirrabal people of central Queensland, and I'm editor of Tracker magazine. The reason I believe that Australia Day shouldn't be celebrated on January 26th is because it's incredibly disrespectful to Aboriginal people, because it celebrates the invasion and the destruction of Aboriginal culture. We still are behind on most social and health indicators, and we're living in fourth world conditions in many parts of Australia, especially in remote Australia. It is not a step forward for reconciliation to continue to have Australia Day on the date of the invasion of Australia.
I appreciate that the date of the 26th of January is a difficult date for some people. Having said that though, I think that it is the perfect time on Australia Day to think about that difficult part of our history. What was the manifestation of that, and where does that leave us? I can think of no better day, the Australian calendar, than that day when we're talking about nationhood and the very thing that holds us together.
I believe to most Australians, Australia Day has become just another excuse for a public holiday or a party. It doesn't symbolise, the values like Australian mateship or culture that the rhetoric says it's supposed to anymore. They've just become a celebration of the worst aspects of Australian culture and society, and that's very divisive, especially amongst Aboriginal people.
I think that Australia Day is much more than celebration. It is true though that many people like to fly a flag and get excited about what it means to be Australian and Australia Day. But some people like to celebrate it with Indigenous Australians and go to Survival Day. Some people like to celebrate it within their multicultural unit that they belong to. Some people like to reflect on, the mateship. If people choose to celebrate differently, I think that that's fantastic, as long as, people are finding meaning in the day, and they certainly are. One of the interesting things that I've noticed, particularly for me, is to see that reenactments of 1788 and colonisation are not necessarily celebrated anymore in the way that they used to be. There's more of a focus on, we have a shared history, this is what our history looks like, all the good parts of it, all the bad parts of it, all the difficult and challenging parts of it. And with that in mind, let's look at who we are today, and who we are today is very much a multicultural society and a society that celebrates our Aboriginal and our Torres Strait Islander peoples and culture.
It doesn't matter that there's no First Fleet reenactments and more citizenship ceremonies, because the current media portrayal of Australia Day is still the white, blonde-dyed, blue Aussie representation, and I think people still feel very excluded from that, not only Aboriginal people but also people from other ethnicities. For example, there was recently a prominent Chinese doctor who spoke out against what his daughter had experienced on Australia Day, which was direct racism, so it still portrays that real divisive undercurrent.
In conclusion, I think Australia Day is a really important day in the national calendar, because it gives us all a chance, no matter who we are and where we come from, to think about where we have come from as a country, where we are today and what that means, and what we want to build and aspire to be in the future.
In conclusion, I do not feel that Australia Day should be celebrated on this date. It's not very inclusive of Aboriginal Australia or other ethnicities for that matter. For many Australians, it's just become an excuse for another party or public holiday. And for Indigenous Australia, it still represents the destruction of our culture and of our family systems and the intergenerational poverty that we've found ourselves in.